I brought you the first printed book with American baseball rules. I can promise you it's not a price out of the ballpark.
Well, it's the Atlantic Monthly. It was a very popular magazine. There was short stories, maybe a little bit of news, but it was something a little more than you got in your local newspaper, and people had subscriptions to it.
The episode kicks off with pure Americana. A customer walks in holding what he claims is the first printed book containing the rules of American baseball. Rick looks intrigued but cautious. And honestly, who wouldn't be? This isn't a baseball card. It's basically the sport's birth certificate. The customer's asking $6,000, which sounds steep, until you realize it's from 1834. Forget bats and balls. This guy just brought in the holy grail of baseball nerdom.
It's actually printed in 1834 in Boston. It actually has a wonderful illustration of children playing on the Boston Common, the actual game of baseball. It is the first printed rules of American baseball.
The seller explains this. Boston Printed Gem shows kids playing the earliest version of baseball and even features the first printed diamond layout. Rick's mind is spinning faster than a curveball. He's like, wait, before the Civil War? Yup, this book predates the war by decades. It's so old, Babe Ruth's great-grandparents probably hadn't even swung a broom yet. You can feel Rick's curiosity battling his wallet already. Drama's warming up like spring training.
$6,000 for it.
All right, that sounds like I have no idea. Let me have my buddy Jeremy look at it. He deals with a lot of high-end sports stuff.
Oh, great. If he's a sports guy, he'll really appreciate this, I'm sure.
Rick admits he's clueless on pricing this thing, so he calls his sports memorabilia buddy Jeremy. Translation: time to bring in the expert cavalry. The seller looks confident, maybe too confident, like a guy who's sure he's about to hit a grand slam. But this is Pawn Stars, and Rick's about to throw him a curveball he won't see coming. Tension level? Somewhere between ninth inning and tax audit.
You came in a while ago with like a Star Wars script or something, right?
That's right, absolutely.
Okay, and we got a drum.
It's a Civil War drum you just can't beat.
Cut to another customer, this time bringing in a Civil War drum. And this thing looks like it's seen battle, or at least a few garage sales. The seller swears it's the real deal, passed down from his antique dealer dad. Rick explains how drummer boys once led troops into battle, which is insane. Kids literally beating drums while bullets flew overhead. Meanwhile, Chumlee's probably thinking, glad I just deal with tourists. Same, honestly.
I've seen other examples. It seems to be Civil War.
Okay, well, we know it's not Revolutionary War because the whole American symbol thing hadn't been invented yet because we had to win the war first.
Rick spots some modern hardware on the drum and raises an eyebrow. Uh-oh. Turns out part of it's been repaired post-1900. The seller's face says it all, like a kid realizing his ancient Roman coin came from a souvenir stand. Rick offers to call in his drum expert because, let's face it, he's not betting $12,000 on a glorified parade prop.
So this is the drum I called you about.
Oh, very nice.
He claims it's from the Civil War.
All right. You know, the youngest drummer in the Civil War was 9.
Whoa.
Yeah, a fellow named John Clem.
Enter the drum expert. The guy's knowledge drops harder than a snare roll at Gettysburg. He explains that the youngest Civil War drummer was 9 years old. 9! Imagine sending your kid to war with a drumstick instead of an iPad. He inspects the piece and, after some dramatic pause, drops the bombshell. I don't think it's Civil War era. You could hear that disappointment echo through history.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think this is a later piece. My guess is 1870s, 1880s. And this looks to me like one that would have been used as a parade drum.
The expert dates it closer to the 1870s or 1880s. A parade drum, not a battlefield relic. Still 19th century, but the Civil War dream? Gone faster than a hot auction bid. Rick thanks him, and the seller's trying hard to stay cool. The look says, I just lost $11,000 in 10 seconds. Painful stuff.
500? You know, this is a piece of Americana.
When you sell something, you sell a story. The story previously was you had a young boy in battle during the Civil War.
Negotiation time. Rick drops a $500 offer, which might as well be a musket shot to the seller's pride. The guy fires back at $1,000, and they haggle like seasoned soldiers until they land on $950. Not bad for a fake-out drum. Rick gets a cool antique. The seller gets his living room back. Everyone wins. Sort of. The expert wins most, though.
So it makes snow cones.
Yeah.
So where'd you get it? From a garage sale.
Yeah, I used to go to garage sales. Now I kind of live in one here, so.
Then comes a new challenger, a woman hauling in a vintage cast iron ice shaver. Yes, a snow cone machine from the 1930s. Chumlee's instantly fascinated because, of course, it makes frozen treats. She's hoping for $900, but Rick's not here to fund vacations. As she explains it was made in Japan, Chumlee looks like he's discovering shaved ice for the first time. Even back then, they were popping bottles. He jokes. Classic Chum.
I want to get rid of it, maybe get a couple plane tickets so I could see my son. I was actually looking online. There was one made in Japan, just looked exactly like it. They were selling that for $900. So.
For $900?
Yeah.
Okay.
Chumlee explains that this contraption is from a time when a penny could buy pure happiness. It's nostalgic, sure, but $900? No way. He offers $300. They spar playfully and settle at $350. Not bad, especially since she's using the money to buy a plane ticket to visit her son. A wholesome twist. Who knew Chumlee could turn shaved ice into a tearjerker?
I'll tell you what, I'll give you $300.
Go for?
$300 is what I can
What about $350?
do. Yeah, man, I'll do $350.
Right.
Meet me over there, I'll write you.
All right.
Back to baseball. Rick's expert Jeremy finally arrives to examine the 1834 book, and you can feel the excitement. He confirms it's the real deal, the first to feature the baseball diamond and early game rules. It even allowed players to throw the ball at runners to get them out. So basically, baseball meets dodgeball. The shop laughs, and Rick's smirk says it all. This could be a serious payday if the price is right.
I know exactly what this is the first time I've actually had an opportunity to see it in person. This is a truly awesome book in the world of baseball.
Wow, that's great to hear.
You know, the term baseball had been around before this book, but what this book did, it brought together baseball, diamond.
And just when things can't get more Prohibition themed, a guy strolls in with the Bridgewater's corkscrew, the king daddy of bottle openers. It literally comes in a coffin-shaped case. Chumlee's fascinated, learning it was made in 1932 to celebrate the end of Prohibition. Even back then, people were popping bottles. He laughs. You gotta love how this show can jump from cannonballs to cocktails without missing a beat.
He was hated by people who drank alcohol because he made it illegal.
Exactly.
He was hated by the people who didn't drink because now there's so much crime going on. So it seems right that when Prohibition ended, they would make a corkscrew.
The seller's asking $1,100 for the corkscrew, but Chumlee's face screams, not a chance. They go back and forth, the seller holding firm, Chumlee cracking jokes about bootleggers until they settle at $325. Both shake hands. Profit made, lesson learned. Chumlee's final comment, 15 years, $200 profit, works for me, vintage humor, vintage deal.
This is a really, really rare book. This wasn't the first even to have a baseball diamond. It wasn't necessarily the one that talked about baseball.
The baseball book returns for its big finale. Expert Rebecca arrives and confirms it's a landmark of American culture, estimating it between $7,500 and $8,500. Rick's poker face deserves an award, but you can tell he's thrilled. When the seller pushes for $6,000, Rick counters with a cool $3,500. After some classic haggling, they land at an even $4,000. The seller smiles. Rick wins another piece of history, and America's pastime finds its new home in Las Vegas.
I think it's completely justified to say $7,500 to $8,500.
Oh, okay. Cool. All right, cool. You're the best.
Happy to help.
I think that if Rick gets this for a good price, it's a very smart buy.
The deal ends with Rick telling the guy, grab the book and meet me over there. The seller quips, I'll slide into home with it. Rick's deadpan response, stop please dude, you're just embarrassing yourself, and that's the perfect closer. A $4,000 antique, a dad joke gone wrong, and another day of priceless reactions in the world's most unpredictable pawn shop.
You're fair to me always, I'll do it.
Sweet.
With the $4,000, I'm gonna head back home, relax for a little bit, but it won't be too long where I'm out and about looking for stuff.
This episode opens with pure Americana chaos. Rick's juggling Mark Twain, Moonshine tools, Beach Boys memorabilia, and even a psychedelic Statue of Liberty painting. Only in Vegas could literature, liquor, and surfboards share a shelf. Rick's eyes widen when he hears first edition Mark Twain story. That's like finding the lost verses of the Bible in your attic. But hold up, before he can even quote Twain, someone's already cracking a Moonshine joke. Yup, another day in the weirdest history class on TV.
We have a first edition of a true story by Mark Twain.
That is really neat.
This is in the original covers.
Enter the Beach Boys surfboard guy, rocking the vibe of someone who's been listening to Surfin' USA on loop. He drops the bomb. This is the board from Surfin' Safari and Surfer Girl album covers. Rick's jaw practically hits the counter. The seller casually mentions he's named after Brian Wilson. Talk about brand loyalty. He wants $100,000 backed by Grammy Museum Provenance and a notarized letter. Rick's polite face says, "Cool story," but his wallet is already sprinting for the exit.
Yeah, it is. This is the actual Beach Boys surfboard that was pictured on their 2 album covers, Surfin' Safari and Surfer Girl.
That's cool. So you've never surfed on it?
Well, I can't say that.
Rick does what Rick always does when the number sounds crazy. Calls an expert. He promises the seller the one guy on earth who'll know. Translation: please let this be worth at least half what he thinks. The seller beams, 100% confident it's real. You can feel that pre-expert optimism radiating off him like California sunshine. Oh, he's about to learn the Pawn Stars rule number 1. Provenance is powerful, but appraisers are brutal.
I'm asking for $100,000.
Tell you the truth, I have no idea what it's worth.
I have a letter of provenance that my dad wrote and had it notarized.
Okay. Do you mind if I have someone look at it?
Absolutely.
Meanwhile, another customer rolls in with the Atlantic Monthly featuring Mark Twain's A True Story. Rick's instantly impressed. First published Twain in original raps? That's collector catnip. The seller wants $2,500, which sounds fine until you realize it's a magazine. Rick loves Twain, but you can see the gears turning. Is this literature or just old recycling? He decides to call Rebecca, because whenever 19th century paper shows up, she's basically the Avengers.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing great. I guess this is the Atlantic Monthly.
Yes, we have a first edition of A True Story by Mark Twain.
That is really neat.
Rebecca arrives and delivers a literary masterclass. She breaks down how this 1874 publication marked Twain's leap from humorist to American icon. Rick listens like he's back in high school English, realizing he maybe should have paid attention that semester. But then comes the gut punch. Magazines just aren't sexy in the collector world. Rebecca values it under $100. The seller's face? A silent, "You've got to be kidding." That's a $2,400 dream deflated in 30 seconds flat.
This is it. It's not a book, though. It's a magazine. It's got Mark Twain in it.
Very cool. In 1874, Twain was already very successful, very popular. He published a book about traveling as a sort of bumpkin American through Europe.
Rick politely declines the deal. "Thanks for bringing it in, man. It's pretty cool." Translation: please take your 100-year-old disappointment home. The seller walks out muttering about low value. Welcome to Pawn Stars Heartbreak. Historic rarity meets market reality. Rick shrugs and moves on, because the next item literally measures proof.
So you were asking $2,500, and Rebecca said it's less than 100. So obviously we're not going to do any business.
Okay.
Thanks for bringing it in, man. It's pretty cool.
Thank you.
Here comes the Moonshine hydrometer guy. He claims it's what his grandpa used during Prohibition to test homemade hooch. Rick's instantly amused. "Why don't you lick it? See how drunk you are from last night." The seller fires back, "I'm good." Comedy gold. Rick's fascinated by the science though, explaining how proof literally proved alcohol content. It's one of those rare moments where Chumlee learns chemistry, accidentally.
What do we have here?
I have this device that
Nice.
the hydrometer, and it tells you what the alcohol content is.
Okay. Do you mind if I take a look at it?
No, help yourself.
Rick notes these gadgets were lifesavers for bootleggers trying not to blind their customers. You know, minor detail. The seller asks $100. Rick offers $20. It's the Pawn Stars discount of doom. They haggle to $25, sealing the cheapest deal of the episode. The seller laughs, walking out, bragging, "I think he overpaid." Honestly, he's probably right. Somewhere Grandpa's ghost just toasted that hustle.
Proof is double the percentage, so 200 proof would be 100% alcohol. Even the strongest stuff they legally sell is 180. I've never heard of 200 proof alcohol unless they're using it for like scientific reasons or something, but no one would ever drink.
Next up, a Peter Max Statue of Liberty painting. The seller's confident. It's bright, bold, and dripping with 60s psychedelic energy. He drops the name like it's a mic. Peter Max. Rick lights up. This guy's art is practically pop culture wallpaper. The seller's hoping for $35,000 to fund his new company. Rick's intrigued but skeptical. He knows Max has produced tons of similar pieces. Time for another expert to save or ruin someone's day.
Pretty interesting. Peter Max has got a really weird storied life. You know what I mean? This guy was born in like Nazi Germany, but his family doesn't go like to the States or England. They go to China.
Before we get to Lady Liberty, the Beach Boys board gets its expert moment. Warwick strolls in like a California oracle and instantly confirms, yep, that board's legit. Dennis Wilson's actual ride. He says it could fetch $100,000 if it were signed by all the band members. Otherwise, $70,000 tops. Rick's calculating resale value faster than a calculator in heat. You can practically see the zeros fading from his mind.
I'm quite familiar with the board. It's a very famous, iconic piece. We understand this was Dennis Wilson's board, Dennis the drummer. He was the only one that actually was a surfer.
True.
Negotiation time. The seller's firm at $100,000. Rick counters $65,000, calling it fair, quick money. The seller politely declines. He's chasing that six-figure wave elsewhere. Rick shrugs it off, and the camera lingers on the board like it's surfing away into history. Sometimes the biggest waves don't crash in Vegas. Still, $65,000 for a plank? That's one expensive piece of wood, dude.
I mean, no, I got my one number. I'd go 65. I mean, that's the most I can go.
Yeah, I'd have to say I'm gonna pass on that. That's just a little bit low. Okay? Well done.
Have a good one, man.
Take care, man. Thank you.
Back to Peter Max. The art expert arrives, practically swooning. He explains how Max painted to jazz music, literally letting sax solos dictate his brushstrokes. He inspects the Liberty painting and confirms it's an original, not a print. The seller beams like he's already counting money, but then reality hits. Yes, it's genuine, but Max has made thousands of similar works. Scarcity sells, and this one's as common as hotel art in Manhattan.
The Peter Max.
Peter Max. He's one of those few artists that, you know, when you see him, you know it's a Peter Max. This is a nice work. He was also very much into American jazz. He was one of the very first artists that would paint to music.
The expert sets the value at roughly $25,000. Rick nods, respectful but business-minded. The seller's sticking to $35,000. Rick counters $10,000, then $12,000 cash. Tension thickens like fresh paint. Finally, the seller caves. Deal at $12 grand. That's the kind of negotiation that makes you cheer and cringe simultaneously. The seller's happy, Rick's grinning, and Lady Liberty just scored herself a new Vegas zip code.
The good news is this is a fairly iconic image. You know, the Statue of Liberty, he's identified for that, so that's a good thing. The bad thing is, you know, he's done a lot of them. He's probably done over 1,000 of these type of images over the course of his career.
The episode wraps with Rick catching Chumlee folding paper airplanes at work. Because of course he is. Rick mentions the Beach Boys surfboard. Chumlee somehow confuses California Girls with Katy Perry and I Get Around with Tupac. The old man chimes in calling the Beach Boys mindless music for the masses. Rick defends them like they're sacred history. Brian Wilson is a genius. It's the perfect ending. Music debates, mild chaos, and Chumlee proving once again that pawn shop comedy never goes out of style.
You're making a paper airplane that's not working.
I'm at work. I'm getting paid to be here.
What's up, Pops? Anything good today?
Actually, a guy came in with the Beach Boys surfboard. You know, the one on the album covers?
No.
Right out the gate, we're talking pure horsepower dreams. A guy strolls in claiming he's got a 1965 Shelby Cobra. You know, the holy grail of muscle cars. But here's the twist. It's only half a car, literally. No wheels, no motor, no interior, not even a steering wheel. Rick looks at it like someone tried to sell him a bicycle missing its frame. The seller brags, I got paid to tow it. Okay, so free junkyard gold or a midlife crisis on wheels?
If this is a real Shelby Cobra, this guy struck gold.
Not only did I get it for nothing, but I got paid to move it.
The guy swears it's authentic, real aluminum body, not fiberglass. Rick's intrigued but skeptical. Turns out there are over 100 companies making replica Cobras, so spotting the real deal is like identifying a Picasso drawn on an Etch-A sketch. Rick's caught between excitement and confusion. He knows if this frame is genuine, it's worth a fortune. But if it's fake, he just met the world's most expensive scrap metal. Cue the suspense music and Rick's skeptical squint.
Coming to the pawn shop today to try and sell my authentic 1965 Shelby Cobra. Done some research on it, and I'm pretty sure it's authentic.
Where did you get this thing?
I got a call about 6 months ago.
Next up, we shift gears, literally, to an old clock that the owner swears is one of the first ever made. Rick examines it, smirks, and drops the truth bomb. The clock's not 150 years old. The seller's face? Pure heartbreak. Turns out it's actually a ship's chronometer, a precision tool used to navigate before GPS. You can almost see Chumlee's brain buffering as Rick explains longitude and time zones like a pirate professor.
How can I help you?
I got a timepiece.
Okay.
Probably, I think, one of the first clocks ever made. I'm serious. It's been in my family forever.
Rick gives us a crash course in 19th century navigation. Sailors use these clocks to measure distance by timing the sun's peak over Greenwich, England. Miss by a minute and congratulations. You're 1,000 miles off course. That's worse than using Apple Maps in 2007. The seller thinks he's holding treasure, but there's a catch. It doesn't tick. Rick calls it what it is, a pig in a poke. Translation: looks fancy, might be broken.
If you want to figure out where you are parallel longitude, you needed one of these.
Okay.
What they would do is they would set this to Greenwich Mean Time. Greenwich is in England. They'd set it to noon in England.
Okay.
The seller wants $1,000. Rick shoots back with $500, and the haggling begins. They bounce between numbers like it's a tennis match until Rick closes at $700. Not bad for a gamble. Rick's thrilled. The seller's semi-content, and Chumlee's probably thinking it looks cool on his nightstand. Rick mutters, "I think I got a good deal." But you can tell, this man's praying it works, or it's just expensive decor.
This is fully wound.
Okay.
But this thing's not running.
Are you sure?
Positive. Usually, if it's just dirty or something like that, tap it a few times, it'll move some.
And here comes something with more bite, literally. A customer brings in a collection of shark teeth. One so massive, Rick identifies it as Megalodon. This prehistoric beast was bigger than a city bus, basically Jaws on steroids. Rick calculates 1 inch equals 12 to 15 feet, so this shark was about 80 feet long. The seller wants to pawn them, not sell, and Rick agrees to loan $1,000. Easy money, or a fossilized flop waiting to happen.
So where'd you get these?
Well, when I was 12 years old, I was on a family vacation. My mom picked this up for me. And ever since then, I've been collecting them. I pick them up whenever I go to a gift shop or travel anywhere and I find one.
Rick jokes about having 3-million-year-old rocks in his backyard he can't sell, but he knows a deal when he sees one. If the guy doesn't reclaim them, Rick scores big. Either way, Rick wins. It's pawn shop logic at its finest. Loan money, make interest, or inherit a prehistoric monster tooth. And somewhere, Chumlee's probably wondering if Megalodon had a gold grill.
Do the math. The guy was probably around 80 feet long.
Wow.
This thing is like 100 times bigger than Jaws. It's like Jaws on steroids. And you want to pawn them?
Yeah, I'd rather pawn them than sell. It's mean too much to me to sell them.
Cut to Rick meeting Ferdinand, an expert clockmaker to fix the ship's chronometer. The guy opens it up with surgeon-like precision, dropping wisdom like, "These escapements are unique." Rick watches like a kid at show and tell. Turns out the clock's not broken. It was just locked for transport. Ferdinand removes a cork and boom, the second hand starts ticking perfectly. Rick's reaction? Pure joy. That was the most painless repair I've ever had. $50 fix, $2,500 clock. Now that's a profit.
Yeah, chronometer.
Ship's chronometers are unique because they have to adhere to a time standard no other clock or watch has to adhere to, because they have to be extremely accurate so ships don't lose their way.
We're back to the Cobra. Rick brings in a Shelby expert to settle the authenticity debate. The guy examines the chassis, the fenders, even the hood scoop, and explains that only real Shelby frames have a CSX stamp. Everyone leans in as he wipes the dust, and there it is. CSX confirmed. The seller's face lights up like he just hit the lottery. "It's real," the expert says. Rick grins. This half car just became a full fortune.
I'm the president and owner of Nevada Classics and Shelby Cars Northwest. So Rick, what are your concerns about this?
Well, my concern is that this is a Shelby.
There are over 100 companies that make a replica of a Cobra.
Then comes the price bomb. The expert values the stripped-down Cobra at $60,000. The seller looks like he's seen heaven, but Mark warns that restoring it will cost another $100,000. Rick instantly switches from excited buyer to financial buzzkill. He's all business. It's worth $60,000, but I'm not paying $60,000. And you know when Rick says that, someone's about to walk out happy or humbled.
When you clean off the dust, you can see there's a CSX chassis number. This is a real Shelby Cobra, Sean.
Wow.
So what's this thing worth?
Man, like it sits, about $60,000.
Negotiations heat up faster than an engine test. The seller wants $50,000. Rick lowballs at $25,000. They volley back and forth until Rick and the old man settle on $30,000 cash. The guy can't say no. $100 bills in hand, deal sealed. Rick's grin says, "We just scored a legend," but the old man's already muttering about how expensive the rebuild's gonna be. Classic Pawn Stars teamwork. Dream big, spend bigger.
So 25's a deal, right?
No, I can't do 25.
So what can you do?
Let's go 45.
Sean, I can give you 30,000 cash right now. That's it. If not, we're going home.
Deal.
All right, deal. Okay.
Just when you think it's over, we get a kite. Yes, a Cobra 1.8 power kite. Chumlee's pumped. Big Hoss just wants lunch. The seller explains it's the first quad control kite ever made, capable of picking up a 300-pound man. That's not a toy. That's a lawsuit waiting to happen. Chumlee insists on flying it, and what follows is pure slapstick gold. Don't hit the pole. Too late. Airborne chaos. $10 says OSHA would faint.
So what can you tell me about the kite?
Originally, kites only had a single control. There was a one string going up the kite, and you're completely at the mercy of the wind. The thing about the quad control kite is that you have control on all four corners of the kite.
After nearly getting tangled like human spaghetti, Chumlee walks away claiming the kite doesn't fly right. Translation, he crashed it. The seller doesn't care. He walks off with $75 and a smirk. Chumlee's left staring at a kite stuck in the sky, muttering, "How are we supposed to get this thing down?" Pawn shop lesson of the day. Gravity always wins.
Just keep on left and right. Left, left, left. March for the pole.
You know what, man? I'm not really interested in the kite anymore. I don't like the way it flies.
Cut to redemption mode. The newly rebuilt Shelby Cobra is finally unveiled. Shiny Shelby blue paint, white stripes, and a roaring engine. Rick's awestruck. The old man's acting like it's his, and Mark the Builder explains every upgrade. They even saved $20,000 using simulated leather and a carbureted engine. Rick's thrilled, but still doing mental math. "I'm in this car for $100,000. The old man just grins like a kid who knows he's driving it first.
Since we bought the 1965 Shelby Cobra, Mark's been building it. So today, we're on our way down to see how everything's coming along.
Oh my God.
What do you think?
I think it's beautiful.
This is a beautiful car.
The finale hits the racetrack. The old man insists on test driving the Cobra, Rick protests, and suddenly it's Fast and Furious, Retirement Edition. The car revs up, but he barely hits 30 miles per hour. Rick mocks him. "Didn't even mess up your hair." Then Rick takes the wheel, flooring it like a man possessed. The sound of that engine? Pure victory. After all the tension, repairs, and haggling, it's safe to say, Pawn Stars just turned horsepower into heart-pounding TV gold.
The other day, Mark installed the engine in our 1965 Shelby Cobra, and now we're on our way to the racetrack to give it a test drive.
So guys, before we deliver a car to customer, we always test drive. Which one of you wants to do that?
This episode kicks off locked and loaded. Rick's heading out to Utah to check out some antique firearms, including what might be the holy grail of Civil War weapons, an 1800s Gatling gun. Meanwhile, back at the shop, a guy rolls up trying to sell his 1915 Ford Model T taxi. And let's just say, if Henry Ford saw this thing today, he'd probably call it a midlife crisis on wheels. The engine growls like a 2010, but the soul screams 1915.
We heard you might have some cool guns here for sale.
Absolutely. That's the Civil War Sharps carbine. We heard that there might be a Gatling gun available. We do have one.
The seller claims he restored the Model T himself. Frame's original, parts are new, and it's fully street legal. The old man and Corey are impressed but cautious. How much of this actually came out of Henry Ford's factory? Rick asks. The frame, the guy says proudly. Translation, everything else is modern. He fires it up and the engine roars to life. Corey grins. Sounds like a car to me. Yeah, one that's been sneaking energy drinks.
It's a 1915 Model T taxi.
It's older than you, Grandpa. A little bit, not much.
I came down to the pawn shop today to sell my 1915 Ford Model T taxi.
Cut to Utah. Rick and his buddy Sean walk into a general store packed with antique guns. The owner proudly presents an 1863 Sharps carbine, a Civil War classic so efficient soldiers could fire 10 rounds a minute. Rick's geeking out like a history professor at Comic-Con. This was the assault rifle of its day, he says. You can tell he's already mentally redecorating his gun case. But the big question, how much? The guy says $2,500. Rick's poker face barely hides the excitement.
You got a lot of cool guns here.
Rick, check it out. Can we have a look at the Sharps? Absolutely.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's the 1863 Sharps carbine. The Union Army wanted to equip all of their troops with them that they could.
The owner dives into history mode, explaining how the Sharps gave Union troops a massive edge during Gettysburg. One rifle squad sounded like an entire army. Rick's nodding, visibly impressed, already picturing it next to his Revolutionary muskets. He calls it a must-have for any serious Civil War collector. Translation: this thing's coming home unless it shoots him first. But before Rick breaks out the checkbook, the seller teases something even bigger. You want to see the Gatling gun? Rick's jaw instantly unhinged.
This changed so many of the outcomes of the battles during the Civil War, especially the Battle of Gettysburg. The Union cavalry was hiding in the ridge line, and they had the Sharps carbine.
They walk into the back room, and there it is. The Colt Model 1883 Gatling gun. Polished brass, original carriage, perfect condition. Rick's face says it all. He's just seen the holy grail of machine guns. Oh man, he mutters, eyes wide. The owner casually mentions it's fully functional. Sean's practically shaking with excitement. Forget Pawn Stars. This just became Call of Duty, Antique Edition.
It's kind of over here in the other end of the store.
Absolutely.
Whoa. Oh, that's amazing.
The owner gives the backstory. Dr. Gatling built it to end all wars. Spoiler alert, it didn't. Rick jokes, if the Union had these early on, the Civil War would have lasted a week. Then he drops another historical roast. Custer didn't take his Gatlings to Little Bighorn, and we all know how that turned out. Savage. They confirm every marking. Hartford, Connecticut, 1883. All original. Rick's trembling like a kid in a candy store that sells cannons.
It's a Colt Gatling gun, marked 1883 model. It's in almost perfect condition.
This is almost like factory mint.
Yeah, I'm almost speechless here.
It does kind of tend to leave a guy speechless.
Now back to Vegas, where the old man's dealing with something less deadly but equally nostalgic. A vintage Charlie Weaver bartender toy. The female seller flips the switch and Weaver comes to life, shaking a martini and puffing fake smoke from his ears. Chumlee's in awe. That's cooler than a real bartender. The old man's smirking. Yeah, and probably cheaper too. She wants $300, but he laughs. Try $75. Negotiations go down smoother than the martini Charlie's pretending to drink.
I press it about 85, and that's as far as I can go.
How about 90?
You know you want it for $90, boss.
Yeah, go ahead and write it up, Chumlee.
I'll tell you what, I'll write it up.
They settle at $90. The old man calls it cute, but limited market. Translation: fun toy, terrible investment. Still, you can see him grinning like a kid who just bought nostalgia for pocket change. When I was a kid, I liked to play with these things. Now, I like to count money. Classic old man mic drop. Meanwhile, Rick's still in Utah getting trigger-happy dreams.
Put 100,000 rounds to this thing without it jamming.
Absolutely. And then after the Civil War, Custer's army had 2 of them in their possession, and he chose not to take them to the Little Bighorn because he thought they slowed him down too much.
Rick inspects the Gatling gun up close, marveling at the engineering. It holds 105 rounds and can fire 750 rounds a minute. Rick says, that's the Industrial Revolution right there. The owner proudly adds it's still on its original carriage with factory markings intact. Rick's reverent, you've got a national treasure here. The guy's response, yep, and I'm asking $335,000. Rick's jaw drops harder than a hammer strike.
All right, so you're selling this, how much you asking?
One almost identical to this, sold at an auction in Texas 2 years ago for $335,000. And that's what I'm going to ask for mine.
Rick can't resist testing it. You'd let us fire it? The owner smiles. Absolutely. Rick practically skips to the range. When they finally pull the trigger, the air fills with smoke and lead faster than a Vegas buffet line. The barrels spin, the sound echoes, and Rick's grinning ear to ear. That was amazing, he shouts, still shaking. 50 rounds in 3 seconds. History's never been this loud or this fun.
And it's absolutely beautiful. It's gorgeous. I think older cars are cooler than new cars because they got flavor, they got personality. This is your baby, huh?
It is.
Now, what are you running under here?
It's a Chevy Quad 4.
It looks good.
Well, thank you.
Meanwhile, back in Vegas, Danny the Count Coker checks out the restored Model T. He loves it, calling it a resto mod. Part vintage, part modern muscle. He even takes it for a spin and returns glowing. Drives great, tight steering, smooth as butter. Rick and Corey can't fit inside, so they trust his verdict. When it's time to talk numbers, Danny estimates the value around $25,000 to $30,000. The seller wants $29,900. Corey's poker face? Gone.
Give me the bottom line on it, man. What do you think it's worth?
Well, I put a lot more than what I'm asking into it.
What do you ask for?
I'm asking $29,900.
You know, $29,900, I don't think you're far off. The car stands out and says, I've got a lot more in it than that.
Corey lowballs $20,000 straight up. The seller flinches, countering at $25,000. They haggle like pros, tossing numbers faster than Rick fires a Gatling. Finally, they land on $21,000. Corey shakes his hand. Deal done. The seller's happy but emotional, watching his baby roll away. I'll never see it again, he sighs. Corey just smiles. You'll see it again on the sales floor. Brutal but fair. Business is business.
There's a lot of effort. There's a lot of craftsmanship.
At the end of the day, I gotta be able
sell
to
this piece.
Yeah, I'll go 21.
You got a deal.
All right, let's go write it up.
You got it.
We're back at the range. Time for Rick to shoot the Sharps carbine. The target? An explosive powder keg set 100 yards away. Rick takes aim, fires, and boom, direct hit. The explosion sends dust flying. Sean cheers. That's what I'm talking about. Rick laughs, adrenaline pumping. Now I see why they use this in the Civil War. It's accurate, powerful, and timeless. Rick's hooked. All right, now let's try the Gatling gun. Oh, he's addicted.
It's an exploding target. Set it up downrange about 100 yards, and that would be typically the distance that they'd be fighting at.
Okay.
Today we're going to be shooting a rather unique target. It's a binary product.
The Gatling test is pure chaos. Barrels spin, water jugs explode, and Rick's laughing like a mad scientist. 50 rounds in 3 seconds! He yells again. The owner's proud, Rick's in awe, and the whole scene feels like history reborn with a Vegas twist. If I can work out a decent price, I'm buying it, Rick vows. But the seller's holding firm at $335,000. Rick counters $220,000. No deal. He leaves with only the Sharps rifle. But hey, after that shootout, he's still grinning ear to ear.
Well, we got some water jugs, got them set out there at 100 yards, and I think it's going to work really good.